Hello, I'm John Beattie. Welcome to Cask to Glass, the whisky podcast, where I explore the heritage and flavour of Scotland's national drink and the world's favourite spirit. Now, in this episode, I'm in the award-winning Piper Whisky Bar in Glasgow's George Square. Now, the Piper was voted the Benromach Whisky Bar of the Year back in 2024 Scottish Pub and Bar Awards. Now, the owner, Gillian Kirkland, was voted the Deanston Whisky Guru 2024, and the year before won the Inspirational Woman Award.
All it took was one sip of the water of life.
Gillian, thank you very much for inviting us to your bar.
You're welcome. Thank you for.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is recently refurbed, so this is the Whisky Lounge, and obviously the bar is downstairs. So, a labour of love.
Yeah, we're in the middle of town, middle of Glasgow.
Absolutely, George Square.
Let's get going there. So, how do you take your whiskey?
So I take my whiskey neat, just as it comes. Unless when I try it, I think, right, I maybe not enjoying this as much as I should or could, or if I think I could get a bit more from it. So I always try it neat first, always.
Really?
Yeah.
So you try it neat,
Mm-hmm.
and then you think, I might need more? What does that mean?
Well, then I think, so am I happy with it? Do I like it? Am I enjoying it? If I am, I'll just leave it as it is. If not, if it's just, maybe it's a bit, particularly cast strength ones, if they're a bit strong, I'll think, right, okay, I'm going to put a wee bit of water. But I mean, a wee tiny bit.
Right.
And nothing else. I wouldn't be doing anything else with it.
What's your favourite whiskey?
I love Glenfarclas 25. Absolutely love it.
Do we have it here? We do.
Yep, we
Right,
do.
We'll try that later.
I love a Glenallachie. I love a Bunnahabhain. I mean, so you're getting the kind of sherry theme there. I do like a sherry finished dram. But again, it depends on my mood. So it depends what am I doing, who am I with, where am I? And I love a peaty whiskey, but not always. My go-to is a sherry finish, definitely. And I think probably, I mean, if you look at a sherry finish, look at the colour on that Glenallachie.
Yeah.
It's just great. You know, and you think, well, that looks good. So I suppose I'm drawn first of all with the kind of colour. But yeah, usually sherry finish.
Let's talk about that. So, I mean, these are very different colours, aren't they? So you're drawn to this because, I mean, it is. How would you describe that colour? It's almost like tea-ish.
It just looks,
tea-ish.
it looks rich. It just looks better than your kind of pale straw type colour dram. I mean, a lot of the whiskey comes in dark bottles, so you don't see the colour, which could be a good or a bad thing, I suppose. But I'm particularly drawn to the colour. I love that dark colour. And then, of course, you've got the issue with the caramel colouring, and is that in it or is that not in it? And people get their selves in a bit of a state about caramel colouring. So if you like it, drink it and enjoy it. Don't overthink it.
I've said before, my first whiskey memories as a wee boy, just a wee boy. And then the second whiskey memory I have is a weekend in Lochgoilhead with 3 pals from school, and you know, just whiskey, a wee bit too much whiskey. What's your memory of your first whiskey taste? Do you remember?
So I'm sure it was some very cheap blend, and I remember having one kind of mouthful of it. I was younger, and it was horrible. It was really bad. So I've never touched it again. And then when I decided to turn the pub into a whiskey bar, I thought, God, I'm going to have to get my arse in gear here and like this stuff. So I forgot about that memory because it was a horrible one. I thought, just let that go. That was just a bad experience. But it was tough to get into. Whiskey's quite tough to get into in terms of you. A lot of people will say, I don't like it. Oh, no, I don't like it. And you think, oh, I bet you do. You just don't like the ones you've had already. And particularly, a lot of women will say, "Oh no, I don't like it." Most of my friends don't drink whiskey. They'll say, "Oh, I don't know how you can drink it," and I think, "Oh, come on, try." And they'll maybe, if they come over to mine, I'll say, like, "Let's try." I think if they've had a couple before it and it's expensive enough, they will like it. That's usually what happens. Right? But I think people should give it a chance, but it's so complex. So I think people get a bit, not frightened of it, but they think, "Oh God, people take it so seriously." And they think, but you look at the processes in whiskey, it is very complex. It's a fantastic thing. It's interesting. There's so many different parts of it that you think, well, there's more to know. There's more to learn. I've read so many books. I've been to so many tastings. I've tried so many drams. I don't know everything. I probably never will. But give it a chance. And I think if I'm maybe doing a tasting, you have to kind of think, right, what is the best dram for this crowd? Are they whiskey lovers or are they tourists, or why are they here? You don't want to be going in with a kind of 58% ABV for a starter person. It just put them off. It's too much. So it's just about finding the kind of right whiskey for the right person. And I think when they understand how it's made and the amount of work that goes into whiskey, they immediately have a kind of love for it anyway.
Well, we'll talk about the bar in a second, but I know you do Zoom calls. You were doing Zoom calls to America.
That's
talking
right.
whiskey.
Yeah.
You get people in here from all over the world.
Yeah.
And when they try and taste a whiskey, well, who's famous has been in here, by the way? Anybody famous?
Just yourself. Well, not when I've been on shift.
Is that right?
No, nobody, I don't think.
All right, okay. But when people from around the world come here, let's say they're from Australia or Peru or wherever, how do they guide them? How do you guide them? Because it's the same thing as having a slight reservation, isn't there?
So what's difficult is having the right people with the knowledge. So you could have the best bar person, but they're maybe missing a wee bit of whiskey knowledge. And if that customer comes in looking for that, you need to make sure there's somebody here all the time that can do it, because it's such it's a big ask. There's so much to know, and you can't really bluff whiskey. You need to know it. So I think I always say, if people are coming in and looking for a recommendation, find 3 that you like, and I always recommend them, because then you'll know them. You can talk about them comfortably. And actually, if you talk about it enough, before they've even tried it, they like it. Let's do that then. All right? I mean, we weren't going to do this, but let's do this. Let's.
So I'm a tourist, or I'm just a Scotsman, a mad Scotsman from just up the road, and I'm thinking of trying a whiskey. We've got 3 here. Just go through it then. What do you...
So I would be wondering, what do you normally drink?
In terms of whiskies? Islay whiskies.
Right, okay.
I love Islay whiskies. I love Bunnahabhain. I like Lafroigs. I like Lagavulins. I like Kilchoman.
Okay.
I love all those, because they're all different. It's like you asking, they're all different, aren't they? That's the beauty.
Oh, totally.
I mean, like one whiskey can be 1,000,000 miles away from another whiskey.
And someone came in once and he said, "Oh, I love peaty whiskey. Can I have a Bunnahabhain?" And I said,
"It's not peaty.
It's not peaty, but it's from Islay." I know, I understand that, but there's. And that's the beauty of whiskey. There's so many different flavours. If you look at your Kalila and your Lagavulin, peaty, but different kind of peaty.
Right, I'll be an Australian. I'll answer the question. Lager, I like lager. Right? You asked me what I like. I like lager. So if I like lager, maybe 2 pints on a Friday, what kind of whiskey would I?
Well, I don't really enjoy a whiskey without a lager. I love a lager on the side. A nice bottle of beer. Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you want a peaty one, that's fine. But it depends on what you feel like. Who are you with? What are you doing? What's your mood like?
Okay, all right. I've ended up a shift at work. I come home. It's the end of the evening. I've had a long, hard day. It's been frazzled, been on air, bang, bang, bang. Come in, have my shower, cycle home. I'm going to relax. I'm taking your advice. I'm going to have wheat lager
Yep.
and a whiskey. But at the end of the day,
What one would I have?
what one would I have?
Kind? So I would be looking for something. Bunnahabhain's a great one. Round 46 ABV, nice sherry, enjoyable, and smooth. Glen Scotia is another great one.
That's Campbelltown, is
That's
that right?
Campbelltown. Or you could go Speyside. I actually love a Speyside. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with a Speyside.
Why?
I just think that they are easy. They're easy. There's nothing. You'll get all your notes from it, your fruities and your florals, but it's enjoyable notes. You know, you don't like when I first started whiskey. I would say I couldn't get apples, and then as it goes on, you say, well, what kind of apples? You know,
Really?
Oh, totally. And a friend said to me, he said he was reading some of my tasting notes, and he said, seriously, he said, do you get that?
Do you?
I said, aye. But that's taken a lot of drams and a lot of going in deeper. You know, I think one of my tasting notes that he never laughed at, but he thought, really, was frazzles, bacon fries. And I went, absolutely. And once somebody identifies that flavour to you, you're probably going to get it as well. But that is the fun of whiskey. It's just fun.
If you're enjoying Cask to Glass, the whiskey podcast with me, John Beattie, we'd love you to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on socials at C2G Whiskey. That's the letter C, numeral 2, letter G, followed by the word whiskey. And please keep on listening. Let's try one of these then. So what would we do? Let's say you would recommend one of these. Let's do it.
So, okay, let's go. Well, we'll go for the Glenallachie.
Okay.
It's 15-year-old, and there's a lot of non-age statements about at the moment. So, you know, blends used to get a kind of hard time, you know, so it was all about the malt. Drink single malt. So blends are coming back. Blends are great. But it's like everything else. It's to your taste. Some people say some single malts are no great. But this is a 15-year-old. So you're kind of guaranteed some smoothness and richness from that because it's been in the cask for 15 years. So let me pour us a wee bit. Listen. Oh.
Nice.
Lovely. So. And a lot of people will say, you know, they'll come into the bar, can I smell it? And you think, well, no, really. So, but you can give, you know, at the bar, 100 noses in your dram before, but you can just give them a wee nose of the cork. Or you can run it round the top of your glass, if I do that for you there,
right,
and you'll be able to smell it. And the nose is, so let's have a nose. Give it a wee swirl.
Sherry.
Oh, it just smells great. Sherry, sweet. Oh, then you start moving into your kind of chocolate notes, your really dark fruits. And then you start going into kind of your dark sponge, your Black Forest Gateau, and it just goes on and on and on. But sometimes you just go, I don't get anything. A lot of people come to the tastings and say, I just get whiskey. I think, oh, come on. Try.
See, I get kind of caramelly with that.
Oh, absolutely. Caramel,
sherry,
vanilla.
Caramel. Yeah.
Doesn't that smell great? Dark cherries.
For 10 o'clock in the morning, it sounds very good. Smells very good.
So that's my kind of dram.
Right.
You know, and you'll find that people like a sherry bomb, they call it, or a peat monster. I'm a sherry bomb all the way. I love a sherry bomb. I will have a peaty dram or a smoky dram, but usually if I'm in company that I've got it, you know, I wouldn't necessarily order one.
I'd find it hard to think of what the best whiskey is I've ever had because I'm not an expert, unlike you. But I can remember going through the bar at the old Macri in Highland. My brother-in-law and I going through the bar, sampling a few whiskies, and they're all lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember the best you've ever had? The best whiskey, or is that a daft question? In that there's so many different good whiskies.
The best whiskey. Well, I was talking about age there, but sometimes it's no really all about the age. So I was lucky enough to be given a sample of a 40-year-old something, and it just wasn't that great. And I tried the 30-year-old of the same, and it was marvellous. So I think it depends, and I heard Max on your previous podcast talking about kind of off notes and things, and these are things that I could never have identified, 5 years ago. I don't even know what an off note is, but you get in the way of it that you just get to love it and like it and study it and appreciate it, and you start to notice these things. But there's loads. I mean, I'm lucky that I can go to the launches of new things. Balvenie 25 is lovely. What else? Glenfiddich do some great drams, and you go to these launches and you're spoiled. You have your nice dinner and a dram to go with it, and it's just it's a real treat,
So on a similar tack then, what's been your best whiskey experience that you remember having a whiskey somewhere and you think that sums up whiskey in a nutshell?
So it was probably way back at the start when I was really struggling. I was struggling to grasp the whole thing. I couldn't understand how complex it was. Like I was going to distilleries and thinking, I don't get this. There's things going in here, and I'm nodding in the right places, and I'm thinking, right, okay. And I had a kind of eureka moment when I went to Glenkinchie Distillery, because they have a mini model, which I would say to anybody.
Pencaitland. Is that Pencaitland, Glenkinchie? Or am I wrong? I thought that was what, East Lothian? No.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
yeah.
Pencaitland. Yeah.
So they've got a mini model. Once I seen that mini model, that was me on my kind of journey of the processes. I thought, right, that's great, I get it. And I went to a tasting. It was a Dewar's tasting, and Tommy Dewar Jr. was there, and he was talking about the stories and the history, and that's when I thought, this is quite cool. This is good.
Because that is whiskey, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Whiskey is and we've done a few of these interviews, but the common theme is whiskey is our history. It's part of our Scottish history.
Yep.
And there is a bit of fuddy-duddiness with it too, which is, you can argue whether that's a good or a bad thing. It's principally men talking about whiskey, older men. But it is, well, what do you think it is, whiskey in Scotland? What do you think it means to you, whiskey?
I think that we have to just give it a bit of time to appreciate it. I don't like it, or it's burny, or it's too strong. Let's just stop for a minute and think about what we're drinking. If you have a gin or a vodka, you very rarely think about how they made it. But
or where it came from.
Or where it came from. But there's something about whiskey that goes, and then you start getting really into it. And it's because it comes, well, we're gifted with our water. How fab is our water?
Clean and pure.
You go to London and get a glass of water. It's just not the same, is it? So we're really lucky. And the water, does it make great whiskey? I don't know. It's only the start of it. And others will say, well, there's chlorine in it, there's this in it, there's that in it. I don't know. There's a chap, he's from Yorkshire, and he has a can of water. And I met him at a meal, and he had his wee cans. And I said, really, does it make a difference to the flavour if I'm going to add a bit of your water or tap water? He said, absolutely. Oh, obviously. So I said, right, okay.
You tried it.
So I said to him, look, would you come along to one of my tastings and bring your water, and we'll do a wee side by side? Absolutely. So that chap's going to come along and we will do a wee side-by-side because...
Oh, he's going to do it?
Oh, he's going to do
Right.
it. He was absolutely adamant that water makes a difference. And yet I think our water's great as it is. So I don't know. But I think, there's a lot to be had from a dram.
Tell us about this place, the Piper, the Whisky Bar. How did it all come about?
So what are we on, 2025? So in 2014, so my husband had this pub, took over, I think, about 2012. And then he became quite unwell. And in 2014, I took over. So he passed away in 2014. And I was now a pub owner.
I didn't know that.
So
Sorry, I
that
didn't know
wasn't
that.
part of the plan. So he had this one and another bar, and I was a nurse at the time, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to have to really learn quickly here. So I did, with support, obviously, of others, and, kind of trusted friends and people that were in the business that, support you. So then in 2016, I thought, right, let's turn it into a whiskey bar. And again, that was with advice from other people, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? So this is absolutely a labour of love, this place. It's a very special place. It always will be. But a lot of people say that, when they come in, it's a very special pub. So now I'm 2025 and yeah.
I didn't know that. So thank you for telling me. So this is, as you say, a labour of love, but perfect location.
Great location.
Right beside one of the most beautiful squares in the world and some of the best buildings in a brilliant city. And 2014 was an incredible year for Glasgow with the Commonwealth Games. But for you then, totally tinged with sadness. And I guess this is a legacy, is it?
Absolutely.
This place.
Yeah. And now I'm in the position where my son, who's 18, so he's at uni doing business because he wants to carry it on.
Great.
So it's all working out, well, I suppose, in that respect, that we will continue it. And it is a great pub. It's a great location. It has its challenges. And there was another pub over the other side of town that wasn't such a great location. But if I'd known then what I know now, I would have done something different with it. But I didn't have the knowledge and the experience. So, this is the kind of the wee gem, I suppose.
It is beautiful. And you've got how many? 300 whiskies? Do you have every whiskey?
So
pretty much for sale.
Yes, so it used to be at least one from every distillery in Scotland, and then of course you start bringing in things like your kind of Japanese malts, and then you're a wee bit of Welsh malts. No, you just if I try it and like it, I buy it and I put it behind the bar. I don't really have a plan, if you like, of saying, right, there's what we need, let's go and get it. It's where am I, what do I like, what am I enjoying, let's just get it in. And of course we're spoiled now with indie bottlers because there's so many independent bottlers that are bringing out cracking stuff. That there is something for everyone. I believe that. Before you're a wee bit kind of limited, but there's so much to try. Great whiskey out there.
Paint the picture of this place then at night time. Here we are, you and I in the morning, filming this in the upstairs kind of whiskey lounge. Do youngsters come here then from all over the world and Scotland and wherever and come to buy whiskey in groups of youngsters, or is it middle-aged people? Who comes here?
It's usually middle-aged, I would say.
Right.
And I think, downstairs we've got live entertainment every week. So there's always a bit of dancing going on. There's always a bit of music going on. Food is great. It's just good, honest, home-cooked food. And loads of drams and whatever else you like, really. Quite, if you don't need to have whiskey. And a lot of people, particularly tourists, will come in and say, do you only sell whiskey? And we say, no. But we have more of that than anything else. But no, people love... So, for instance, this week I've got a tasting with Wednesday night. I think there's 30 of them, but it's a kind of corporate do. So they're travelling and they're coming for their tasting in the evening. And those kind of things are great because there'll be a lot of them there that don't usually drink whiskey, and they're in a great environment, and actually they'll probably go downstairs and have a bit of a dance after it. So it's just a lot of fun. You can see them on a Saturday sometimes queuing outside to get in at 4 o'clock.
I'd heard that.
At 4 o'clock.
You've got queues here.
It used to blow my mind. I thought I would never in my life queue to get into a pub. I would just go somewhere else or get in early. I mean, I just don't want to queue. But they do it because they love it and they love the dance. But a Saturday is very kind of old-fashioned, traditional singer. You know, and then Sundays you're kind of bands, acoustic, and then during the week we have singers on. But it's a lot of fun. Do
you have a few non-Scotch whiskies? You mentioned some Japanese, some Welsh whiskies.
So I've got some Japanese. In fact, I decided this year, I thought, right, so I was Japanese, Welsh, a couple of Irish, and then I thought, like, let's stop this and just do all Scotch.
Really?
So I'm not going to take anything else I've got off the bar, but I probably won't replace it. I think I'm going to stick with the Scotch.
Why?
Why not? And people absolutely love coming here. And do you know, I was in London last week and I went to the bar and whatever I ordered, and he said, love your accent, where it's from. So I was telling him. And then I was walking down the street chatting to my friend, fella past, and he turned around and went, love the accent. And I thought, we're so lucky because people really do love it. And see, when you start talking to them about whiskey and Scotland, they listen because they're interested in the history. You can see them thinking, wow, this is a great place. So,
and it is.
Scotland's a fantastic place.
It is.
I mean, like everywhere else, it has its problems, but it could be better. Glasgow could be better, but we can fix that.
I feel as I could talk to you for hours about this, but let's look at, what do you want from a whiskey? Somebody, if you're advising somebody as to what to do with whiskey, because I think you had a tutorial session in here last night, is that right? Or an exam or something, and you do these talks around the world, and you're an expert. You've won awards. You've won Whisky Guru 2024. Yeah. And Whisky Bar of the Year. Yeah. So you try really hard at this to try and make this work, given until now I didn't know it was a kind of very strange start.
Strange circumstances,
a difficult start.
Yeah.
So when somebody says to you, look, I'm thinking of getting into whiskey and tasting a few, what do you say to them? I know you've done a little bit on this, but you must have folk from around the world coming here, as you say, go to the bar staff, I'd like to try whiskey. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What do you say?
I would always go with my favourite because I can talk them into that one. You know, if they said, oh, I want to try a big PT1, I'd be thinking, no, let's just take it easy. Or, I'd maybe say, right, well, let's start on this. Then we can move on. We also do the flights so they can get 3 different drams. So they're thinking, right, okay, these are 3 different drams from 3 different regions. Let me find the style that I like. And it's important that they find the style that they like.
Because for folk listening, they'll be totally different.
Yeah.
Won't they? They'll be totally different.
Absolutely.
Different colour, different taste, different smell, everything.
And I would say once you find your kind of dram, then we can look at what more can you try of that type. And that's not saying don't try other ones. It's just saying find what you like. Yeah, I like sherry. But I find what you like and focus on it and learn about it. You'll love it.
Do you find men and women have different tastes when it comes to whiskey or a different sensibility around whiskey?
Yeah. I think, well, they say women have got much better senses. So, and it's...
Allegedly.
Well, I agree. I think we
I'm
have.
Not so sure.
So I think that...
I'm a sensitive soul.
Well, but they say our nose and palate is all better. So you look at the kind of Rachel Barry, Master Blender.
Yeah.
I admire that woman. I think she's fantastic. I love the whiskey that she's producing. I think it's great. But I think women have got a better nose.
So we're trying to speak to Rachel Barry. She's in the US just now.
Yep.
So given that men and women are different in terms of their olfactory senses,
Yeah.
what do women choose when it comes to whiskies that maybe men don't? What do they see? What do they smell in a whiskey that we don't?
I don't know.
Something.
I don't know. I don't know, but it might be the more sweetness. You know, I don't know, but there's something, but a lot of women as well, particularly of a kind of certain age, will take Coke in it. You know, so I don't know. It just depends. I really don't know.
But when they come to the bar, do they normally, they'll buy different types of whiskies, men and women?
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, definitely. The men will usually go towards the smoky peaty, and the women will definitely go towards the sherry.
That's interesting, isn't it? Isn't it? Do you think that's men being a bit bravado? Going, oh, I'll take this. People say it tastes like TCP, but I'm going to like this.
I think there's a bit of that.
Do you think, I'm a man?
And I kind of liken it to how you like your steak cooked sometimes. You know, and they say, I like it blue. Now, I don't like it blue. I like it rare. But I just feel sometimes there's a wee bit of a competition.
With men?
Yeah.
Kind of macho thing?
Yes, aye. Not in a bad way. It's just that's what happens. The peatier the better, you know. Oh, I don't want that. But what else have you got? You know, and you think, all right, well, that is the peatiest you'll get. Aye, okay then. You thank God. So I don't know if they're. I don't know. I wouldn't like to say.
Thank you for talking to me. I really appreciate it. And
thank you.
Before you go, though, the world market, the whiskey world now, I'm conscious that you're making it in the whiskey world. That you're a name people know. You know, I've spoken to people in whiskey and they know your name. So you've won awards. You teach people about whiskey. You have a whiskey bar. And we have this massive industry, Scottish industry, that we're all proud of. What's your sense of where we are in the world of Scotch whiskey and what we need to do a bit better, if we need to do anything a bit better?
So I think the problem is, so I've recently opened a shop because I thought I could sell a lot of bottles of whiskey.
Mm.
But the reality is we don't actually sell that much. And then we moan when it's all going
Abroad.
You know, if you try a dram, we had a 18-year-old Loch Lomond from, I don't know what market it was going to. We can't get it here. You know, and there was 40 of us tried it. They went, oh, but I really like it. Can you get it? We can't get it here. And they moan because they say, oh, but that's the one I want. But it's a bit like, people are like that. If you can't have it, you really, really want it. But we don't sell as much whiskey as you think by the bottle. I think Glasgow could do better, and maybe other towns and cities of whiskey bars. Mm. You know, you go to Edinburgh, my God, every bar's a whiskey bar. But I think some of it's overpriced. I think we've hit the ceiling on pricing. I don't think it can go up any higher. And I think we just need to chill out and relax it and enjoy it a bit. You know, it's very serious. It's a lot of fun.
Before we chatted, you said we have to take the stuffiness out of whiskey, that it has to be fun.
It has to be fun, and it is fun.
Pride
what
and
a
fun.
Laugh. You have 2 or 3 drams with good company, and you just, I mean, you have the great conversations, a great time. But let's just relax a bit and enjoy it. I think that's how I feel.
Gillian Kirkland, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're never going home. We're never going home. Can we stay with you in Scotland for the rest of